Right, time to take these apart. I have worked on these before a number of times. I do have a video on my channel of a refurbishment I did on a pair of these, and yeah, so it's good to be doing something a bit different with them. So our covers are in pretty good condition. Now what I'm hoping to do, I've decided that I'm going to go down the route of, assuming it fits, using our KEF B200, which, yep, it will fit, so that's good. So I'm going to use the KEF B200, and then I'm going to salvage these 4 ohm HF 1300s for another project. So I'm going to put a 16 ohm HF 1300 and a Coles super tweeter. So kind of a mini BC1 if you wanted to look at it that way. So what I'm going to make sure I do then is the woofer will go here, and yeah, sorry, I'm going to be redoing this baffle. So what I want to make sure of, I'm going to turn the cover round because I need to keep the box the same way round so the binding posts are still at the back. So imagine this is scrapped. So I'm going to turn the covers round so my woofer will be here. So we use this cutout, and then this cutout we'll use for the 1300 and the Coles super tweeter. That way I can retain these. Now this, which would be for the tweeter, I'm heavily considering porting these as well. Whether the box is a little bit too small to do that, I don't think it is. It's a reasonable size, so I think that's going to work well. So yeah, with the other one I can probably do it the other way around. Not that it matters that our port is on the same side on both speakers. The wavelengths are so low it's not really going to affect us at all. So that's the way they should look: woofer, tweeter, super tweeter, port, if I do that. So let's take these out and have a look. Very simple crossover on these. First order on our woofer, so just an inductor, and second order on the tweeter. I think from memory it's like a 12 microfarad capacitor. I don't remember the inductor value, but a very simple crossover. I watched Kelvin's video from Stereo Review X recently, where he had a pair of these, and he was going to replace the cap for this tweeter. So I don't know if you watch my channel, Kelvin, but if you do, these are really simple. So there's our base radiator, and our crossover is at the back there on the binding post cup. So you don't actually have to take the drivers out to do this. It's pretty straightforward. We have our center brace through there. So yeah, these boxes, some of these older boxes, I know some of them were pretty crap, but some of them weren't bad either. These woofers I'm going to junk. They're no good to me at all, and this is just pulled the paper and yeah, no good at all. So there's our woofer. It's nice to see everything soldered, but this is like an old sort of steel cable. Definitely worth rewiring these. Oh no, that's copper. That's not, that's steel. So quite why we got a bit of both, I don't know. Foam, big triangular piece of foam at the back. sure my cat would use that as a pillow. Bless him. Right, let's take our tweeter out. I'm going to clip these off. If you do take these tweeters out, they've got teeny tiny little captive nuts, T-nuts at the back, and they just fall out. So expect to take the woofer out as well to be able to push these back in. Oh, that one's actually fallen off. It's probably rattling around in there somewhere. These blocks will get taken off as well, because my boarding that's going to go over this will be probably as thick as that, plus a bit more. What I'll do, I'm going to cut this all out so I can use the edge as my fixing for the new baffle. So I'll have to rebake that with a router. Right, 4 ohm HF 1300. Not a bad unit. I just want to see why we've got unusual to see Phillips or Posi drive screws in these. They're normally just a flat blade. Right. Right, let's take our teeny tiny crossover out. Yeah, this is all loose, so I don't know if these have been apart before. This back panel is really loose as well, so we've got a bit of cabinet stabilisation to do. So these 4 screws come out. And then out comes your crossover, simple as that. So we'll have a quick look at this. Right, so very simple second order on our tweeter, which comprises of a capacitor and then an inductor in shunt, and a single inductor on our woofer, so first order. So let's see what's what. So our woofer inductor, we can test that as it is. So we've got an open end there. 1.2 millihenry. And let's clip out this. So that's our red going to our tweeter. So this I think is a 12. Yep, 12 microfarad. So if you are going to recap these, that's all you need to replace. And I find this is an electrolytic. Replacing that with something like a Solon polypropylene really increases the clarity from that tweeter. So let's see what this is at the moment. It should be 12. 19.5. So the higher the value, the lower the frequency that tweeter's going to see. So yeah, that's way out. That's over 50%. And our little inductor on the tweeter, 0.47 millihenry. So yeah, simple as that. So this will get taken off, new binding posts in here, junk all that. I always keep these inductors, write the value on them. They're just handy for when I'm doing crossover design. I can clip these in and out, and then when it comes to actually building the proper crossover, normally I wind my own now in good purity copper, but it's just handy to have a load of values lying around to clip in and out and yeah, get things right. Okay, for the bin. Okay, so I've taken off all the blocks, literally just knock them off with a hammer and chisel and then scrape off the excess glue. This front baffle is loose inside here, and if you look at the back panel, hopefully you can see this flexing. So yeah, that's really common, and you can just hear it. You see that on a lot of these old speakers, especially if they're made of chipboard, just the glue dries out. So yeah, we will have to re-glue all of this. So the next thing to do, I've marked it all up, is to cut this out. Okay, so I've done my cutout and just tidied it up a little bit with a sander, so that's given me a decent lip there for my new baffle to go in. So next thing to do with the cabinet is to go round it all the corners with adhesive, and I tend to use no more nails for this. What I will do also on the back is go round this joint that always opens up with some PVA, so that will soak in as well. But really and truly, if you're not going to pull the cabinet apart and re-glue it all, which these will just fall apart if you do that, I find running around with something like this works really well. These have a brace going across as standard. I've put a block there to the back, so it's going to kind of lock that together. And then I'll do a lot of panel dampening. So yeah, I'm not going to stick a load more bracing in there. Right, I'm going to run around with this stuff, and yeah, all is good. So I use it fairly sparingly. So I've got the nozzle kind of on its smallest bit. So I get a bead all the way around first in all the corners, and then I'll go and smooth it all out. It's surprising the difference this makes actually, and also to the air tightness of the cabinet. Because after 50 odd years these joints do open up. Obviously it's very important to have the cabinet really clean before you start going around with glue, because otherwise all you're going to do is stick to a load of dust and dirt. So it pays to get in there and really hoover them out. If you've got a compressed air line, blow them out as well. Right, so what I'll also do is go round here, but I'll do that with PVA so it soaks in. I don't want to use the normal nails because it will kind of build up around the edges. Excuse me. So yeah, all is good. Lovely. Right, so I've gone around the back with glue, with a paintbrush as well, and worked it into the cracks, and you can see that it's sort of sunk in there. So I'll just keep an eye on that for the next 5-10 minutes, make sure that as it soaks in I add a bit more glue, and then eventually the back will get sanded and that's going to bond that back in there. So I think we're kind of stable with the cabinets now, so they will get sanded at the end. There's no point while I'm mucking around with them and things like that. So yeah, I think we're getting there. I've got these Lin speakers. I can't remember what they are. I'll have a look in a minute. But these have got the SP 1014 version of the B200. So this is a polypropylene cone, I believe. So I'm going to rob this. I mean, I only picked these up for, I think, 40 quid, 50 quid. And the only reason I wanted them is for the B200s. So in the bottom here is our crossover. What have we got going on? Might as well have a quick look while they're here. We've got a 2.7 ohm resistor, electrolytic cap, iron core inductor, another iron core inductor, and these Bennett caps, I think they're electrolytic as well, so 214 microfarads and a 24 ohm resistor. Yeah, crap, nothing decent on there at all. So yeah, I think the tweeters as well aren't particularly good. I'll take them out and keep them, but in terms of the box, yeah, it's a chipboard box, nothing nothing of interest or use there. So what are these? The Lin Index, 50 watts. Yeah, just robbing them for parts. Yeah, while I'm pulling these apart, it's worth mentioning that sometimes it's cheaper to buy a pair of second-hand speakers and steal the parts out of them than buying the individual drivers second-hand. You know, a good pair of these can go for 80, 100 quid, especially this version, the 1014. I picked these up for, I think it was 50 quid. Might have been 55 worst case, but you know, for that I've got 2 woofers, 2 tweeters, the crossover, the box, everything. So it's worth doing. I mean, I've been buying up HF 1300s recently for a reason that will become apparent in later videos, and the 16 ohm version of those, you'll get a pair of those in really good condition for 80 quid. The 4 ohm version, probably about 40 or 50. But again, these Ditton 15s I'm working on, they were about 40 quid, and I've got a pair of HF 1300s out of those. So, you know, I might as well get a bit more and yeah, be able to make something out of them. These later versions of the B200 were destined for another project, but I might have to use them in the Ditton 15s, and I'll show you why. So this is the reason why I may have to use the 1014 version instead of the 1022s, is the height. As you can see, they are probably a centimetre not as deep, and the reason that's an issue is because where I'm putting the woofers inside the Ditton 15s, the magnets on the back of the 1022s will hit the brace. So yeah, it's quite interesting really. They are quite different, as you can see. Massive magnet on those, smaller magnet on those. In terms of the rest of it, very similar. I mean, I'm pretty sure the B200 was built to a specification, so later versions slightly improved materials, but I believe they basically perform the same. I've used quite a number of these, and yeah, they're really nice. Like I say, these were destined for another project, but and I really did want to use these in this, but I think we're probably going to have to use these. I don't really want to start routering into that brace and reduce its size. I will just use these instead.